Yes.
Whoa!
Yes.
Another week,
Yeah.
the applause. I mean,
Get it out.
it is. Thank you.
This episode from a live studio audience. Fantastic. Yeah.
Isn't that how they shot Friends back in the day?
Oh, yeah, all
there
those
was a
shows.
live
Yeah,
audience.
yeah.
What happened to the
brings the
90s?
energy.
Bring 'em
This
back.
is a live audience.
Yeah, right.
It
Hey,
is.
folks. Hey, Jave, good to see you, brother.
Steve! Did you
Dave,
say
how you doing?
Dave?
Dave.
Okay.
Justin, Dave.
Yeah,
Dave.
whatever.
Justin,
Yeah.
Dave.
Hey,
Dave.
welcome into Flame Central Podcast, powered by Alcova Mortgage. As you just heard, football is back, kind of.
Yeah,
we got
camp
camp.
starting.
Camp
Back.
starting up this week.
camp, baby.
It might just be helmets for the first few walkthroughs, whatever, but who cares?
It's real football.
Football
Yeah.
is back, so that's pretty exciting. We have a great guest on today's show. The Athletics college football senior writer, Chris Vannini. He gives
good.
us some great information about not only this conference,
Yes.
but college football playoffs.
You
Are
talking
we-
about
Playoffs.
We're talking playoffs.
Did you
Not
know?
that-
Did
a
you know
game?
that I was at
gosh.
my good buddy Jimmy Kemp?
Yeah,
Right. His dad's Jack Kemp.
Yeah, right.
Who played for the Bills
Yeah.
and was congressman, ran for
Yeah.
actually vice president one day. So he had passed away, and so we were at his funeral and they had
Yeah.
a reception afterwards, and Jim Moore was there.
How often
And
do you
so-
think people do that to him?
And
Did
so
you do
I'm,
that to him?
So I'm standing there. I start talking to him.
yeah.
Hey, coach. Hey, connection. You used to coach in
Yeah.
USFL. My dad coached in the USFL back in the day, so we knew all sort of
Yeah.
same people connection. So we get talking and everything. And the whole time while I'm talking to him, like part of me is not even listening. I'm just
Yeah.
going playoffs.
Yeah, playoffs.
You're talking about playoffs.
Yeah.
It's like
He probably hears that
oh,
every
like I wanted
day.
to do it so bad, but
Yeah.
I didn't do it.
That's
If you
But
aren't
we're straight.
aware, we do take your questions, comments, and critiques. It's
Yes.
Liberty. It's Flame. What's
oh,
the
gosh.
address?
FlameCentral@liberty.edu. FlameCentral@liberty.edu.
yeah,
For
for
the
mailbag.
mailbag. We got a
No,
mailbag
no, no,
question.
no,
Mailbag question
no.
coming. FlameCentral@liberty.edu. I apologize.
We got to plug mailbag.
Yeah.
We gotta plug-
We
it's
take
get-
it very
We
seriously.
send you a mug. You can win them. Now, we have a lot of mugs today.
You have a
we
choice
are
of
very
mugs.
hydrated.
Your choice of
but
mugs.
we will send you a Flame Central podcast mug if you have a good
or
question
just
for us.
Yacht Talk, baby.
Yacht Talk.
I
whichever one you
used to
want.
drink out of these
Right there.
mugs until
Yacht Talk, baby.
one day Joe was like
Yeah.
spilling it everywhere,
No,
and he
no,
was
no, no,
so
no,
he
no.
looked at me shocked that I actually put my coffee in a
Now-
mug.
now listen.
So that's why I don't use these anymore. But you can use
should
them.
use it. It's a good mug, and you can eat your ice cream out of it too.
That's true.
It's
Yes,
very good.
if
to eat
you're
ice
not
cream
a
out of it.
coffee person, good ice
now,
cream.
listen, we got to really. It's football season
Right.
starting, so it's time to really pump up the mailbag.
Yeah.
Let's get these questions rolling in on the mailbag, and then we'll pick them out.
What
and we
do people want to know
what
about
do you
camp?
want to know
What do you
about the
wanna know?
football
We'll
team?
get
What do
you
you
the
want to know about
answers.
camp? We got insights. We got more scoops than the Cold Stone Creamery.
Okay. We have a Joe football camp story coming your way.
Do you have any good stories from camp?
I don't know.
Yours?
We're just actually
Think about
dropping
it.
this on
Think
him.
about
Oh,
it.
from like
yeah,
my
your
days
days.
at
Yeah,
camp?
from
Oh,
your
I've
days
got
of
100
camp.
of them.
I figured.
Oh, well, let's
we'll start with one.
We'll go
No,
one.
slow play.
Let's do one
Yeah.
every week
Yeah.
for the next,
5
Let me do one right now. real
No,
quick.
can we get into
Okay,
some of the
go,
top
go,
camp
so-
storylines?
Yeah.
Okay,
Top.
top-
Go. We're doing camp storyline. Yeah, love it. Let's go. Camp storyline.
First things
Love
first,
it.
let's
Okay.
talk about what we're most looking forward
Yeah.
to coming into Liberty camp day. Well, it
This is
starts
this week.
Wednesday.
Yeah,
but
this week.
Yeah,
what are you
whatever.
most looking forward to, Matt? And you can think of yours.
Yeah,
first.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there's a couple of guys I'm most looking forward to watching
Yeah.
play. Okay, the first one for me is C.J. Daniels.
Yeah.
You remember he only played in the 4 games last year. He's coming back off the knee surgery.
Yeah.
I'm looking to him to have another, just a not breakout season, but I think a lot of people have forgotten about him. He's kind of under the radar.
Sticky.
This is a guy who's known as Sticky because of
Sticky
those
Daniels.
good hands.
Great
He had
name.
7 receiving touchdowns 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And people kind of forget about him. I think he could be the go-to guy in the pass
I
game for the
agree.
Flames this year if all his health is right, and it seems to be. I'm excited to see him really take it to another level and see that in camp. The other guy I'm excited to watch in camp is Jay Hardy, interior defensive lineman.
Yeah.
He was the guy Kendi Charles told us is ready to break out. He's the guy that he says has like NFL draft potential, and
Yeah.
he thinks could be that kind of player.
Yeah, he'll make him a suit.
You're right. He said he's going to make him a suit for draft day, right? So I'm excited to see what he can do. We talk about that D-line. There's been a lot of pieces moving around on that defense since last season. I want to see him kind of become that dude in the middle, and hopefully we'll see it early on in camp.
So leading up to camp, they do like the football media day where they take all the pictures and stuff
Right.
like that. We are doing some hot seats again this year.
And it's hot
and
seats,
I was
yeah.
looking back to an old hot seat
Hot
from, I
seats.
believe it was 2 years ago, of CJ Daniels. It is incredible how much he's not only like looks older and is obviously like a young man now. He like came in, he looked so
He's a
like
grown
little.
individual.
He's a
Yes.
grown man now, but he is really, really filled out. So I am
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing him as well. You heard it last week on our Flame Central show episode, Yacht Talk.
Yes,
the
baby.
run game being so important. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Quentin Cooley, they call him the bowling ball here around
Pins.
campus.
I like playing pins.
So really looking forward to seeing how Q,
Pins, bowling ball.
makes a difference
Not
for
only
this
that, but
offense
who's
this
the
season.
other guy? Because we know they run multiple
Right,
backs.
Shedro left.
Right.
You got
Like,
Day-Day
who's going to be
gone.
it? Vaughn Blue, we've heard a lot of great things about, but he's a true
That's
freshman.
true
Now,
freshman.
it helped that he was here in the spring. You have the kid from Arkansas, the Joyner kid that transferred in. So, like, who's that other guy that's out there with Cooley? Because I think you're right. I think he's going to be that lead guy. Who's that number 2 guy that's going to be on the field a bunch?
Well,
Right.
We know this. We know this. In this offense, you need lots of running backs.
Yes.
And so this isn't going to be a one-guy deal. This could be a 3 or 4 guy deal. So all of them are going to step up. Now, who's going to end up being the real number 1 guy? I think as you progress through the season, then you'll start to see who that is, obviously. But I know Vaughn Blue, that the coaching staff is very high on him and how talented he is.
And like we've talked about before, too, with uncertainty at the quarterback position at this point, I think especially early on, you're going to see them lean on that run game even
100%.
more to just like, hey, we're not going to make any mistakes through the air. We're trying to get a lead, let our defense shut it down, and really, really rely on those running backs.
Which I think everybody is looking forward to seeing how this quarterback situation, pans out. And
that is the number 1
because think about
right?
it, JB.
Everybody knows,
I mean, how long has it been? He's been here like 18 years or something. Every single year, we go
Jonathan
into
Bennett,
the season as
It's a long time.
well, it feels like it. I mean, what has it been? 5? This is 5th
Yeah, it's
year. I
probably
feel
fifth
like
year.
every single year we've gone into camp, it's like the quarterback position has been, up
well,
for
there was
anyone to
Malik
take.
last year, it was pretty much decided.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
Right,
but
but
I'm just
even
saying
his-
for JB,
yeah.
like he has never been given the job. So it'll be interesting to see how he handles, is he going to take it for his final year in a Flames uniform? So
Listen, I'm a huge JB fan.
I know you are.
I'm a big JB fan. And, you take a guy like, okay, is he the greatest passer? Is he the greatest runner? Is because you get spoiled when you play with a Malik Willis.
Sure.
Right? And then Buckshot before that, right? So you've got these guys that are really good core. But you know what? Here's the bottom line. The guy wins.
He beat
He
BYU
wins.
with Arkansas.
He blows out BYU.
Yeah.
He throws 3 touchdown passes against Arkansas. And there was always just this thing around it like, oh, is he really our guy or not?
Yeah.
And I think if JB, now obviously there's a lot of other good quarterbacks and one of the 4 guys that could win the job, right? But if JB's the guy, I have 100% confidence that if he realizes how good he can be, right? Because he has things to call on. Right? When you're uncertain, like, oh, I've never been through the fire before, and I might be a little bit uncertain at quarterback and things go bad. This guy has faced adversity from his injury. He's faced adversity at the quarterback position from being benched to coming back in, and he yet still overcomes it and wins again. Yeah. So if JB is the guy come week 1, I have 100% confidence that he'll do an outstanding job. And here's the other thing, too. I've said it, too. Talk about the running game. Yeah. Okay. Well, the way this offense is run, the way that the offense is run, there's so much based upon the reads of different types of options, like who you're reading, the end, the outside linebacker, the inside. There's a lot of option reads on this in the RPO game. And so what defenses are going to do is going to say, okay, right? You think you're going to run the football, you have to run the football. They're going to force their hand through the reads and making them throw the football. So yes, we do have a good running game, but at the same time, from the defensive standpoint, they're going to scheme it where they're going to make the quarterback try to beat you through the air. And until Liberty can prove that they can do that, that's what defenses are going to wait out and see. So I just feel as if the running game is important, but ultimately they may end up having to throw the ball just because of where the reads take them.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
But I think that not only you, but his teammates as well, whether it be JB or Caden or whoever under center, I think Jamey Chadwell will do just fine.
They'll do great.
I do think we'll see a lot less back and forth
Turnover,
this
yeah.
year.
Oh, it's clear about that.
I think, yes. Yeah. I think just the motivation and a long-term approach and all of that, I think Chadwell is going to attempt to stick with one guy a lot longer than we saw a year ago with you.
And I think a big part of, like, when you look at Coach Chadwell and you look at Willie Korn as a quarterback coach, right? A big part of it is not just the level of talent for the player at the quarterback position, but what kind of person they are individually, how they are in the locker room, what type of there's a lot of weight thrown in their decision making on those aspects of things. And a huge part of it, I think, is who's the guy that's going to step up and carry himself like he's QB1.
Right.
I think that is that's very important to them to be able to look like this is the guy that's the leader of the team. He acts like it, he looks like it, he acts like it, and he plays like it, like he's QB1. I think that in decision making
walks around the office when he comes.
There is
quarterback.
absolutely no doubt.
But you hear that all the time from quarterbacks. They say it's like a lifestyle. It's not just during those 4 quarters, right? The elite quarterbacks, people talk about when they walk in the room. You're like, whoa, this dude's different. Like, this is a leader. Like, this is someone everyone looks to. It's not just during the game itself. It's all the time.
100%.
All right. Joe, think about that Cam story. We do have a great interview with Chris Vannini. He is the college football senior writer with The Athletic, talking about Liberty going to college football playoffs. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But do you want to give us a Cam story before we?
Oh, a Cam story. I've got a lot of.
Wait, was that the most thing you're looking most forward to in the quarterback situation?
Oh, yes, definitely. I mean, I think that's, everybody. I also think figuring out the linebacker position is going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
Like that is potentially, with all the people, Mike Smith gone, Ahmad Walker gone, all the different people that are gone, they're so thin, all the Trent Sings left. I mean, there's so many things that are question marks there. So how the linebacker position fills out is the other thing that I'm really looking forward to see how that happens.
All right, camp stories. This has to be pretty.
Remember our audience.
Keep it short.
Yeah, I'll keep it short.
And keep it the Liberty way.
Okay, so my rookie year, and I was playing in the CFL for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And so most teams do like the songs, or you have to sing your fight. Remember the one Adrian Hutchinson from Michigan did last year when he did the Michael Jackson one?
The rookies have to get up.
Yeah, rookies got to get and sing. They do that, right? So we did that, but then they also had this tradition in Hamilton that they would pick one rookie, and he didn't know it was coming, right? And you'd break it down to practice, and they'd pick one rookie, and they would take him and they would tape him to the goalpost.
Oh, okay.
And guess who that happened to be?
Oh, no.
You got taped?
So I got not
Was
only,
it duck?
this is no, they just take your regular ankle tape, right?
Oh,
this gets bad, right? Because usually they just tape you to the post, right? Well, they had the film where the thing that goes up and it film you, right?
Yeah.
Well, they brought that thing over. They got me on that thing, and they taped me to the crossbar.
Oh.
Like around, so I was like horizontal like that, taped around to the crossbar.
So that's why you had so many injuries and you can't run the mile.
And they left me there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they left me there, so.
You do that now.
You
mean, like they're firing head coaches.
Yeah,
for
you
stuff
get
like
fired
that
for
now.
stuff like that.
I mean, like you can't.
It
do
was
that
all in good fun.
It was a different time.
Nobody.
It was a simpler time.
Do you want to share the names of who did it?
Yeah.
From school.
I could see this dredge up all this emotion.
Why?
Yeah. Wow. You're so strong.
All right, well, while Joe regroups, we're going to.
Why?
This conversation.
God, this hurts.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no,
All right, let's go to our conversation with The Athletic's Chris Vannini. Okay, so fall camp is starting this week, which means we got to talk more football. Our guest today, first time ever, a remote Zoom guest,
Zoom,
Chris
baby.
Vannini.
I mean,
he's a senior writer.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We're like 3 years post-COVID. We're finally figuring the Zoom thing out.
Yeah,
We're a little slow, but we're getting it figured out now.
Yeah.
It's Zoom, baby.
Yeah.
Well, good thing Chris isn't slow. National college football writer for The Athletic. Great to have him on the show. Chris, we don't take things very seriously around here, so feel free to, whatever, let it loose, have some fun. We'll start things off with it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
We'll start with the CUSA preseason polls, having Liberty second, Western Kentucky taking that top spot, then Middle Tennessee, Louisiana Tech, New Mexico State. Is that how you see this conference shaking out, or what are your thoughts on just those preseason polls?
Well, I think there's a clear top two in this 9-team conference this year, and that is Western Kentucky and Liberty. Western Kentucky has obviously been one of the better Conference USA teams for quite a while. They return a lot from last year's team, while Liberty has a new coach, is coming into the conference for the first time. But what Liberty has done for the last couple of years with the coach that they hired in Jamey Chadwell, I think it's pretty clear those two are far and away the top two in the conference.
Yeah, you talk about that, and I was going to ask you that kind of the tiers in this league. Liberty fans are becoming accustomed with these programs for the first time in many cases. Western Kentucky, we know about Austin Reed. They had the top offensive and defensive player of the year in the preseason for CUSA. Is there a separation there, and how big do you feel like it is in year one for Liberty and CUSA?
Well, we don't know yet. I mean, I don't know yet what quite to expect from Liberty because of a coaching change and because of some player turnover. And just being at a conference again and what that is like and getting used to that for a team that has been independent for a while. I think Western Kentucky, I picked number one. Most people, I think, picked number one just because of a lot of proven entities there. But Jamey Chadwell's track record is that he wins everywhere. And, if on our podcast, The Athletic, until Saturday, we picked among the new head coaches who was going to have the best first year. And I went with Jamey Chadwell at Liberty just because of the relativity of being in a conference that Liberty can win, in that first year. Even if there are some learning curves along the way, I think the depth of the conference is an issue. And that's why just up top, I think Liberty's got a chance to win this league.
Yeah, Chris, the aspect of, obviously it being a new league and all these new teams, what is a team that maybe we don't know about? Everybody talks about Western Carolina and Liberty Western Kentucky and Liberty being the two, dominant teams. But is there a team out there in Conference USA that it could be the sleeper? Who could potentially be the sleeper?
I'm very curious in Louisiana Tech. Second year under Sonny Cumbie as the head coach. They've added Hank Bachmeier, the longtime Boise State quarterback. He's been there for a bit now, and a couple other transfers. The defense has to improve, but I think Louisiana Tech offensively takes a step forward and potentially gets into contention for the conference. There's only 9 teams, so there's not many other teams you got to leap over. I'm very curious about a year 2 jump in that system. I think they went 3-9 last year, but I like a lot of the changes they've made. So Louisiana Tech is my sleeper team in this conference.
Oh, yeah.
When you look back to Liberty, one of the changes is the scheduling. These midweek games have to be so different, to prepare for the coaches, shifting up their schedules and how they prepare. What are your thoughts on the midweek games? You think that's good for college football, good for CUSA?
It's something Conference USA had to do. Their TV situation prior to this current deal that's just starting was kind of a mess. There were games on all different networks, stadium, streaming. You didn't know where to find games. So the new TV deal has CBS Sports and ESPN are the main focus there. And you're going to have these midweek games in October. So they're the only midweek games going on other than the NFL on Thursdays. The MAC does November. The Sun Belt sometimes does as well. But I think this is going to get Conference USA back on people's radars. I think a lot of people just kind of forgot about Conference USA because it was so hard to find their games. Having the midweek games, having the spotlight to yourself, and it's not going to be too cold like in November in the MAC. I think it's going to be something a lot of Conference USA fans are going to enjoy after, the last handful of years.
Yeah, and again, for folks who want to listen to some great college football talk, the Until Saturday podcast, you guys put out a great one today about the new head coaches around college football. With Jamey Chadwell leading this Liberty program, and as Conference USA is today, or what we know it will be even next year, what do you see as kind of the ceiling for this Liberty program moving forward with Chadwell at the helm?
I mean, moving into the 12-team playoff era next year, I think Liberty has a chance to make the playoff,
Wow.
Just to be the top group of 5 team. And with Houston, Cincinnati, and UCF gone, the ceiling for the group of 5 is not as high as it was, as in like there's not a handful of teams at the top that are so far ahead of everybody else. I think you look at Boise State as a team that could contend for the playoff. Tulane, obviously, with what they did last year, a number of teams in the American. But in terms of the resources and what's available, I would put Liberty in that conversation as well. I mean, you'd probably have to go 11-1 or something like that. But you have to be a conference champion to get that spot. And now that Liberty's in a conference, even if it is maybe one of the weaker conferences in the group of 5, you get a big Power 5 win or 2 in the non-conference play, you go undefeated in conference play, that'll get you in the conversation. And I think that New Year's 6 spot this year and the playoff spot moving forward is going to be wide open for a lot of schools. And Liberty, with the resources it has and the coach that it has now, I think is certainly a program that can get into that contention.
Do you feel, just to piggyback off of that a little bit, do you feel as if Liberty, you look at the old Boise State from back in the day, as how long it took them to sort of build their resume in order to get the opportunity to play in Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl? Do you feel as if a school like Liberty, if they were to come out and dominate for a year, could it happen right away? Or is this we're going to keep an eye on them, win their conference, go 11-1 or undefeated, and it might take 2 to 3 years to actually give them the shot to be able to get in the college football playoffs? Or do you feel as if this could be something that could happen very quickly?
It depends what happens elsewhere. Obviously, you got to compete with all the group of 5 teams in terms of being the top one, but it's a lot better than it was back in the old BCS days, because in the original BCS, it was almost impossible for a group of 5 / non-BCS team to get in. Then you had to be like in the top 12, I think, to get that spot. Now you just have to be the best one, whatever it is, of the 5 conference champions out of the group of 5, whichever is the highest ranked one is going to be in the college football playoff beginning next year. So that's why I think, it's not going to take as long as it did. Look at Tulane. They went 2-10 the year prior. 1 year later, they're in the Cotton Bowl. They win the Cotton Bowl and beat USC, because all you got to do is be the best one now. So the changes over the last 20, 30 years of the postseason has continued to make it more and more favorable for teams outside the power conference just to get in now. And that's why I'm really excited about the 12-team playoff, because now everybody's got a shot at the beginning of the year to get in the playoff. I think that's going to do wonders for the sport. So I think Liberty, if things click right away, they can be in that mix.
Chris, back to Coach Chadwell. Be honest, what was your initial reaction when you found out he was leaving Coastal Carolina to come here to Liberty?
I thought it was a huge hire for Liberty, and I thought Power 5 teams should have hired him away. He's a guy who's won everywhere he's been, at every head coaching stop, and he's got a unique style of offense that I think takes advantage of the situation that they're in. So for Liberty to hire him away, I think was a tremendous hire. I mean, what he did at Coastal Carolina, taking over for Joe Mowgli and doing what they did in 2020, 21, 22, developing Grayson McCall into the 3-time Sun Belt Player of the Year was a really good job. And so to get him, as opposed to him going, I thought, Tennessee could have looked at him, Virginia Tech could have looked at him, various places in recent years. And instead, Liberty's got him. I think that's huge for Liberty and for him, and what his career aspirations are.
Last thing for me, Chris, we talk about Conference USA and what it is now, but very quickly people are already looking towards what it could become. A lot of questions about who could potentially be added to this conference down the line. How do you view expansion for Conference USA? When do you think that could happen? Who are some candidates that you see on the horizon?
Yeah, Commissioner Judy McLeod, told me and told people at Media Day last week that ideally they'd probably like to get to 12, which means you have to add 2 more at some point. As for when, probably not until 2025 at the earliest now, because we're under a year until Kennesaw State comes in next year. As for the possibilities, nobody really stands out yet. The potential names that have been around for a while: Missouri State, Eastern Kentucky, Tarleton State, maybe Central Arkansas, McNeese State. No, it's not totally clear. And there's potential NCAA rule changes that could impact this as well. They're looking at raising the fee to enter FBS to be $5 million to move from FCS to FBS. $5 million fee plus a bunch of scholarship requirements. You got to give out a certain amount of scholarships and all this kind of stuff. So if you're a school in FCS that isn't resourced very well or doesn't have a ton of money, that's going to make it a little bit harder to move up. And Judy told me she was not a big fan of that $5 million fee. The scholarship part, the mental health part, that's all fine. But she thought it'd be better if you could use that $5 million to invest in your program as you're moving up. So it's still, that hasn't been passed yet. So it's still kind of to be determined as to who those expansion candidates could be. But I'm not sure there's anyone who totally jumps out yet. And it kind of changes depending on who you talk to, really over the last year.
Some great information from Chris Vannini. If you want to follow him on social media, Chris, Vannini. Basically, the gist of the conversation, Liberty's going to the college football playoffs. Thank you so much for breaking that news here on the Flame Central podcast, powered by Alcova Mortgage. We'll catch up with you maybe a little bit later in this season. Thank you so much again.
Hey, Chris, one last thing. I just want to let you know, buddy, your hair looks great today.
I got a haircut yesterday.
Yeah,
not in preparation. Not in preparation for this. I'm actually going on vacation very soon. But thank you.
You're welcome, buddy.
If you need a compliment, you just gotta look to Joey. Chris Vannini, thanks so much. We'll catch up with you soon.
Yep. Thanks for having me, guys.
I just broke the news to Joe Yock, or actually Matt Warner did, that the expansion doesn't happen until 2024. However,
I was all excited.
The Liberty Flames are well on their way.
Apparently.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. Are we?
Yes.
Do we agree with this?
Yeah, I mean, Joe's been saying it. Like he thinks, he's been saying it's a very real possibility. And I think that Jamey Chadwell said it his first press conference here. And that's what stood out to us that day was how quickly, as a head coach, for you to throw out the gauntlet right away and be like, this is the plan.
Yeah.
Right.
We're going to go to the playoff. This is what we're aiming for. To put out that lofty of a goal right away, I think everybody thinks it's in play. And now that you're in Conference USA, you're in a position you haven't been in before, with a playoff format that hasn't existed before. Yeah, I think that should be the goal.
I was a little surprised at how he said how quickly it could happen. But if you're the best,
Yeah.
if you're the best, and that's what the slots are made for. But at the same time, man, I just think that it is going to take time to build a resume to be able to put you in position.
The question will be
from a
too,
national ranking standpoint.
because I think there's importance placed on those non-conference games.
Yeah.
Right? Because especially if Conference USA isn't as strong, and Chris was saying, like outside Liberty and Western Kentucky, he feels like it's pretty weak the rest of the way right now, as it stands right now. If it doesn't get stronger, then you better have some just killer non-conference wins to boost that resume, or else everybody does the old, like, who have you played, right? It's a weak schedule, weak conference, like, who have you played?
And that's well-deserved.
Yeah, so you got to beat somebody.
I mean, you got to beat somebody. Like, go back to the whole Boise State thing. Is like they got in to play Oklahoma that one year. Remember they ran the Statue of Liberty pass? Beautiful. Then the guy asked the
girl
to
marry
him right there, right after it was after the touchdown. I was like everything. But it took Boise years to build their resume where they even considered for that. And then I don't know what their schedule was that year, but I think that might have been, it was they played Virginia Tech. But I think they had to have some of those out of conference, type of wins in order to have the opportunity to do that.
But you think about
how do you solve that problem? They're like how do you solve it out of conference?
As far as like scheduling,
that's where
look at Liberty's out of conference this year. Right.
Well, you need a couple of those games like you had last year on the schedule.
You need an Arkansas. You need a BYU. You need something like that in order to. I mean, because the other teams out there that do play them and go undefeated and win, even if they're in a weaker conference, if they have that on the resume, they got the argument. Yeah. They're going to win the argument from a national ranking standpoint.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, but I'm going with the fact that we're going to the playoffs. I'm already packing my bag.
You know what?
So.
I just focus win the day. That's all I'm worried about. You
whatever.
worry about the future. I'm just trying to win the day.
But when you look at like other group of fives, and like the resources, the support that you have from athletic and like a winning coach. I know we can't talk about recruiting, but it doesn't seem like that has been an issue since this new staff has been on board. So I'm not saying it's not possible.
No,
so
and going back to what Chris said, and we hyped up his podcast a little bit until Saturday podcast. They talked about what Chadwell did at Coastal he's one of the lowest paid coaches, group of 5.
He was the lowest paid coach, and I think it was in 2021 whenever
to go from that to what he has now in terms of resources and commitment from the university and staff and all of that.
And podcasts.
It's podcasts, obviously, mortgage companies.
Powered by Alcova.
But you think about it seems like the right coach, the right place, the right resources. Like there's no reason why you would say, or glaring reason why you'd say that can't happen or that shouldn't happen.
Well, here's a perfect example. I mean, you look at 2021, I can't remember the year, but when they went undefeated, they're in. I mean,
until the bowl game.
If there was a playoff format, then Coastal Carolina
gets
is in.
Just like Cincinnati, right?
They're in.
Well, Cincinnati did it when.
But I mean, what kind of schedule is Coastal playing? I mean, it
They
wasn't
got
anything.
BYU right at the end, but I don't remember if that was a rescheduled COVID deal. Remember they roughed up your boy Zach. What's the quarterback?
Oh, yeah.
With the Jets, that's flopped.
Yeah,
They
Wilson.
Zach Wilson. They
Yeah.
just put it to him. But yeah, no, it's
They're
all
in.
there. It's all there.
Yeah.
We'll turn to the NFL for just a
Yeah.
moment, but before we get there, want to tease an In the Fire. You guys know that we go
it's In the
In the
Fire.
Fire. It's like a behind-the-scenes feature that we do each home game of the season. Well,
sometimes you got to get in the fire.
Sometimes you got to do a bonus edition. We did an In the Fire for summer workouts. We had Chad Scott on when someone was on vacation.
Yes.
Great conversation with him. But we go In the Fire with Chad Scott and the strength staff. Some really cool
awesome.
stuff you don't want to miss. Something that they
Maybe
finished.
coming out today.
Yeah,
That's
might
the
be
plan.
coming out.
Maybe coming out on your social
So-
media.
so check that.
Liberty Football. Really, really cool. Really, really cool.
Shout out to
If you
Donald
aren't ready
Scott.
for camp,
Yeah, you'll be ready.
if you're not locked in,
Yeah.
you watch this.
Yeah.
Coach Scott's going to get you locked
It's
in.
an all-access
He
pass.
ends it with
Yeah.
something so motivational that I have to turn to things like that instead of these two. Demario Douglas is taking
Turning
reps with the first team at Woodard.
Demario Douglas has, for multiple days, been taking reps with the first
Who's
team
your
in
source
New
on
England
this?
Patriots camp.
It's
Everybody.
They're talking
all over
about
the
it.
internet.
Patriots reporters.
You're telling me this is on the World Wide Web
It is
right
on the
now.
World Wide Web. You go to AOL.com.
And
you
you'll
search
find it.
Demario Douglas. You listen to the whole like modem load
The
up.
little
You tell
Yeah, and
Reese,
it-
get off the phone, Reese. I'm on the internet. Like
Yeah.
you do all that.
I'll find
right,
it.
Right. You will find it. He's been
good
running
to
with the
hear.
first team. They've been working him a lot in punt return, which we expected.
Yeah.
So he's really turning heads.
Look at
Appears to
that.
be saying all the right things. I saw him in a press conference where he said like he was really focused on watching Wes Welker, Julian Edelman film and trying to learn from what those guys did. So he's saying all the right things,
yeah.
Love
right?
that.
Yeah.
I need to get up to Boston,
Boston.
and park my car
Yeah.
outside.
You're a big
pretty
Boston
good.
guy.
Oh,
She's
I
right.
have
You love-
already
you
called
know the
dibs.
streets of Boston,
I
don't
have
you?
called
Yeah.
dibs.
Like
well,
you-
that's not in Boston, but Gillette Stadium is a little bit of a.
Here's my
a
Yeah,
concern.
that is further away. Isn't it?
He's wearing number 60.
And that's great.
Should
Yeah.
what is
great.
that?
That's a Belichick thing, I'm sure.
You think?
Yeah, rookie guy, don't give him a good number. Just
Okay.
Throw 60 on him, see if he can earn a strike.
Because don't you
100%.
now? I believe now you can
100%.
wear any number,
Now you
right?
can- it's just
what if
weird.
he
You're
ran?
kidding
No,
me.
no, they changed it. That's why you see like a lot of D
Yeah.
linemen wearing like single digits
You
and stuff.
can wear can a receiver wear number 60
I
actually
don't know.
in a
That's
game?
what I'm gonna
I'm
say.
pretty
No
sure.
way.
I'm pretty sure.
You know
Could you
what?
imagine if he did that though? That would be genius.
It would be genius. Yeah.
Well-
It'd be real man of genius.
Really looking forward to seeing if he can. Well, are you Googling this? Do we need to?
Hey, you know what?
take
Just
some time.
go back to college football. You know what new rule? Do you know the new rule?
Well, Kendi Charles is 9.
Well, I know
No,
he's in
the
college.
defensive line. I'm talking about receivers. Do you know that they're not stopping the clock after first downs anymore? This year in college football?
I know they're trying to speed
Short-
it up.
they're
Did
speeding it
they?
up. So
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. Okay, so
That is a
maybe
big deal.
they've changed it to where guys can wear 0. So I don't know if he can actually wear 60 moving forward. I don't believe he now can.
No, you can't. No way.
No way, Jose.
No way. That would look
Okay.
ridiculous.
And then some great feedback from
Completely ridiculous.
Coach Rabel on Malik Willis. So we'll see how Titans camp continues
Yeah,
to
he's
unfold.
done
Wait,
really well.
wait. What did Vrabel say about Will?
Glaring improvement. I
Really?
believe, right? Was it glaring improvement?
Yeah, glaring improvement. Okay, here's
So-
the official.
All right.
I just want to sort this out.
Sort it
Wide
out.
receivers are permitted to wear numbers
He's good at sorting
0
it
to 49
Yeah.
and 80 to 89.
Yeah, see.
Before they could only wear from 10 to 19 or 80 to 89. So he could wear 49 if he wanted to
That'd
go with
be a
that.
weird number.
That would be a weird number, but he can't wear the 60 moving forward. So there you go.
Okay.
There you
All
go.
right, are we settled?
We settled that.
That's
Okay.
all right. Yeah.
Mailbag. Let's get to some mail
Every
time.
time I make these puns, mailbag.
That's good. All right, one mailbag question again. FlameCentral@liberty.edu. Send
let's
us
go.
your
Start
send us your
bringing 'em
camp
in.
questions.
Camp questions.
Let us know. Our buddy Reese sent us a question, and this
Reese.
Reese. This is actually
Your
a question
son?
Yep.
we have gotten a lot, and it's flattering. It is.
It is.
He was asking, what games are we broadcasting? What football games are we calling?
Yeah.
I have no
Yes,
idea.
you do.
A lot of
do.
people have asked
yeah,
this,
you do.
and it is flattering. I appreciate that everyone cares so much.
So we have 3,
Well, it
right?
It sounds like we have 3.
It might not be flattering. Like, well, do the.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, it could be the
Maybe
other way.
he's asking
Maybe
because
asking
he's like,
boy, you guys are.
hey,
really,
which
jeez."
ones are you? I'll
Yeah.
go to those. I'll stay
Yeah.
home and watch
I'll
the other
listen to
ones.
the radio.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
that's it.
That could be.
That's true.
Check,
Fair
please.
point.
Alan York does a great job.
Yeah, that's right. We are calling New Mexico State week 2. We know that's locked in.
Diego
September 9th. The return of Diego Pavia.
Back.
I think we covered that, didn't we?
Let's go.
Didn't we? Yeah, we covered that. And at this point, we may potentially be calling, you have to jump all the way ahead to mid-November, Old Dominion and UMass, so the 11th and 18th. Those are not set in stone,
You know what
but
that
it's
means,
looking like we
Emily
might
Austin?
be.
I'm taking every Friday off. Vacation.
We will not see a lot of Emily Austin this fall. So, you know what?
I'm just joking.
This is the downside to moving up. Really, we're the only ones that suffer, right?
Yeah, we
the,
suffer.
The
Everybody
more
else
high
does
profile
better.
the program becomes, the more we suffer. But that's life. That's life. We're happy
Awesome.
for-
Well,
we're
thanks
happy
so
for
much for listening or watching. Thanks again to Chris Vannini for joining the show. Hopefully we can catch up with him as the season continues. We're doing some pregame show stuff with Liberty Football, so hopefully he can join for some of those shows as well. You got anything else, Joe, Matt?
Listen. If you're out there and you think, I might be looking to buy a house.
Yes.
I think, you know what? Who should I call?
Right.
You just go on the Google machine. Joe Yauch, Jauch, Alcova Mortgage. Call me up. We'll have a good conversation, and you'll get power.
Joe, what about interest
Simple.
rates? But what about them?
Interest rates.
I
are
hear
going
all
up,
this
but-
negative
but
stuff. Is
you
it
know
fake
what?
news? Is it real? What is it?
Listen, marry the house.
Okay.
Buy a house you love.
Yeah, right.
Buy the house you love. Marry the house. You date the rate.
That's it.
Marry the house, date the rate. They're going to come back down eventually.
Yeah.
Right? And then we'll refi you. Give me something hard because this is too easy.
We'll see you right back here next week for another edition of Flame Central Podcast, powered by this guy, Alcova Mortgage. See ya.